Welcome to myFace myStory, voices from the craniofacial community, with your host, Dina Zuckerberg.
Hello, and welcome to myFace myStory, voices from the craniofacial community. I'm Dina Zuckerberg, your host and Director of Family Programs at myFace. Like many of you listening, I have a craniofacial difference. I was born with a cleft lip, hearing loss, and no vision in my left eye. myFace myStory is about people like us being seen and heard, about sharing stories within the craniofacial community and with others. This podcast episode is made possible through support from the Integra Foundation, committed to improving lives. By the way, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening through Apple Podcasts, click subscribe now and we'll keep you updated on future episodes so you never miss out. And if you're a fan of myFace myStory, please rate and review the program on Apple Podcasts so we can get our message of inclusivity and empowerment to more people. Today, I am joined by Adam Pearson. Adam is an award-winning disability advocate, actor, presenter, and speaker. Adam was nominated as Presenter of the Year at the Grierson UK Documentary Awards in 2016. As an actor, he has been nominated for Best Supporting Performance at the Gotham Film Awards and the Film Independent Spirit Awards. He has also been nominated for the likes of the Los Angeles Film Critics Association Awards, National Society of Film Critics Awards, DiscussingFilm Critics Awards, and UK Film Critics Association Awards. Adam has been widely recognized for his award-nominated supporting role in A24's A Different Man, directed by Alan Schimberg and co-starring Sebastian Stan and Renato Reinzov. Adam also co-starred in the BAFTA-nominated film Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson, which was directed by Jonathan Glazer. His other film credits include Change for Life, which was also directed by Adam Schimberg. Adam has spoken at a number of events for the likes of KPMG's The Health Innovation Summit, Public Service and Criminology Conference, and British Association for Counseling and Psychotherapy. He has also given a TEDx talk. Adam is an ambassador for the King's Trust, Changing Faces, and Us in a Bus. He also won a Radar Award and a Diana Award for his campaigning work. Adam has previously been named on the Shaw Trust Disability Power 100 list, as well as being nominated for Celebrity of the Year at the Sense Awards. Adam, welcome to myFace myStory.
How are we doing? Thank you for having me.
Yes, so excited for this conversation. I have to say, Adam, right up front, reading your credits is not only intimidating, but I'm actually a little nervous. So I hope you can bear with me on this one. Before we get started, this week was a big week for you. Can you tell everyone about your exciting news?
Indeed. So, and I've been sitting on this for like 7 months, so now it's finally out in the ether, and I can talk about it. I will be playing the role of Joseph Merrick in a retelling of the story based on the 1977 Tony Award-winning Broadway play.
So exciting. Really. And it's such great representation from the community. So really excited.
It is. I've become the first disabled actor to play him and get to add my name to a long list of other great actors who also inhabited that role.
Yeah. And you said in Variety that you have a long relationship with Merrick. Can you tell us a little about that?
Certainly. I didn't watch the film, the David Lynch film, in its entirety till I was like well into my mid-20s. It was a classic avoidance thing, because I'd only ever heard the term "Little Man" used at me in the school playground as like a term of derision, and so I then, just as I said, avoided it. And then in my mid-20s, I presented a documentary on the BBC about the history of freak shows and vaudeville, and at that point, Merrick becomes unavoidable. You have to deal with it, face it, and process it all. And then the more you learn about the actual story of Merrick and the man himself, the more I grew to like respect him and like almost like fall in love with the man behind the myth. And so now to take the next step and get to retell his story and show his humanity and his dignity and his sort of wisdom is something that I'm thoroughly intimidated by, but also I'm honoured to have the opportunity to do.
That's great. So I want to talk about your childhood and growing up with neurofibromatosis. I know you have a twin brother who does not have it, but first, since we're talking about this major milestone in your career, what moved you to become an actor in the first place?
I studied that. I was working in TV, and then the casting call for Under the Skin came in. And oh yeah, we want a guy with a disfigurement to maybe be in a film. And I just threw my name in the ring as a bit of a joke. And then it all got really real really quickly. And then everything I could have done wrong, I did wrong as well. To this day, I'm still amazed they hired me. Because on the way to the final audition to meet the director, I got hit by a black cab on Tottenham Court Road and like broke my leg. So the first time the director meets me, I'm under a taxi in just my boxers, high as giraffe ass on morphine, with my foot and my knee pointing different ways. So I don't know what other people did where he hired me and not them, but it was the start of what has been like a 10, 15-year journey now.
Let's talk a little bit about your childhood. So, what was your childhood like growing up with neurofibromatosis? I know you have a twin brother who did not have it. And how did it shape your sense of self?
Well, I think kind of I got diagnosed in 1990, and genetics and diagnostics wasn't then what it is now. It's one of the fastest moving areas of medicine. So my diagnosis was a doctor reading a definition out of a medical dictionary and then patting my mom on the hand. I don't know how it didn't kill him. And then you begin like just circumnavigating the hospital and the medical system and finding the right experts and the right people and doctors who you like. I'm always quite picky about my doctors. I have this like I have many rules in life, but one rule is if you're going to be cutting my face open on a regular, I should at least like you or tolerate you. And so then you navigate that, and while trying to manage the behemoth that is like school and adolescence and childhood, it was just this like massive juggling act, and it forces you to grow up really quickly when you spend more time in. I mean, I had what like I was already in double figures on surgeries before I finished like primary school. So yeah, I was already quite resilient and battle tested by the time I was like 10.
Were you bullied or teased for your difference?
So primary school, no, I don't think that was a thing because kids just got used to me, and your life is literally swings and roundabouts when you're like a really young kid, and you're curious about difference, but you don't kind of shun it or mock it or become I don't know repulsed by it. But then when you hit kind of the older years of school, this weird social economy kicks in, the cult of popularity becomes a thing, and it's all these like kids yelling at other kids, and it's Darwin's theory in perfect motion happening. And at the time, it sucks, and now I'm old enough and far enough removed from it, I can look back at high school and be like, yeah, high school's dumb. It's loads of lonely people trying to be less lonely all at once, and it works its way out in different ways. And to this day, I still see people who were rotten to me uh, uh, at school, and I'm like, we're good, we're good. I'm not going to judge anyone on who they were when they were like 16 years old because I also wouldn't pass that test. I was also not a great teenager. And now I know, and also other people probably had stuff going on. It's the old adage, kind of hurt people, and every kind of school bully has their own kind of supervillain origin story. So yeah, I think it happened, and I think it also made me who I am. So in a weird way, kind of thank you to the bullies, because I think my four favourite words in the English language are "I told you so." So yeah, now you can call me the Elephant Man, and it's technically correct, and also paying off a mortgage. Boom.
Right, right. I can relate to what you were talking about in terms of um, how those experiences, I think, shape who we are today. Because I say that all the time. I wouldn't be the person I am today if not for those experiences, and maybe I'm exactly where I was meant to be. So I can relate to that. So, did you have any early role models or influences that helped you embrace your differences when you were younger? Or
Well, I got involved with the charity Changing Faces really early on in their existence. I think I got involved in their first year. And then you meet other adults with kind of disfigurements, visual differences, who are thriving and succeeding. And then you see it can be done. But then when you look at the media landscape, there's not that much visibility there. And when certainly back then, it's getting better now, but it still isn't great. But back then, whenever you saw a disfigurement or visual difference in the media, it was being used as almost a shorthand for victimhood, villainy, or inspiration. And it was never just incidental. And so rather than kind of looking for a role model there, I thought, why not become the one? Why not become the trailblazer and set the bar where it needs to be set? Because if you can't see it, you can't achieve it. I didn't think disabled people were allowed on TV when I was a kid because there just weren't any there.
it's true. I think when we were growing up, certainly when I was growing up, you did not see any of that in the media. And so I feel like we're seeing it more and more now, and certainly, and there's hope that we'll see more and more. And you getting this role in Elephant Man, I think, is a huge step in that direction. But I've been seeing more and more of it. So you've spoken, Adam, so openly about your experiences with neurofibromatosis and how has that shaped your work in front and behind the camera?
When you grow up with any kind of difference, it teaches you empathy really, really quickly. But it also, particularly with disability, you don't get it till you get it, right? And it's rare amongst other protected characteristics in that it isn't mutually exclusive. I'm not going to go to bed tonight as a white, straight, CSE male and wake up tomorrow as a black lesbian dabbling in Scientology. But disability and disfigurement can come to anyone at any point, kind of God forbid. And then when that happens, how does your world look then? How do your friends treat you? Can you still get to your office? Even if you temporarily need to use a wheelchair or be on crutches. Like the New York subway system then becomes utterly unworkable, and you have to rethink all of these things. So I try and bring that mindset to anything I'm on. And think, how can we make this as streamlined as possible so everyone can access it, be it from a work production point of view or from an end viewer consumer point of view? What can we do to make this accessible for everyone? Because if you make things accessible for disabled people, by default, you make them accessible for everyone. If someone who uses a wheelchair gets to a flight of stairs, that's the end of the journey. Whereas if someone who can walk gets to a ramp, they don't suddenly go, "Oh my God, what fresh hell is this?" So I'm always trying to make things as accessible for everyone at the point of inception.
Yeah, so important, and I thank you for doing that, because I think there needs to be more accessibility in everywhere, actually. So yeah. So to our audience, I hope that you are enjoying this episode of My Face, My Story. Whether it's your first time joining us or you've been with us since the beginning, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube and Apple Podcast channels and sign up for our mailing list at myface.org/mystory. Adam, your film, A Different Man, which I've now seen a couple of times, has received significant critical attention. Can you tell us about your character in A Different Man and what initially drew you to the role?
Oswald, the absolute lunatic that is Oswald. So I've worked with the director Aaron Schimberg on his previous film Change the Life, and it was great. It's done well. I think it's still at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. But a lot of the sort of feedback Aaron got was simply having me in a film was somehow exploitative, which took quite a lot of us off guard. But also, he thought that my performance went under the radar because I was playing quite a shy character, and people incorrectly assume that that's what I'm like in real life. So he wanted to write a character that would let me show my range and be out there and gregarious, but also the idea of kind of exploitation. If I cast disabled people in a film, I'm exploiting them. But if I get an actor and put them in prosthetics, that isn't what we would classically consider representation. So if I'm going to get criticised for either of them, let's do them both and just have these two kind of characters just go to war with each other. And it put Sebastian Stan's character in this like wonderfully dark, like one-sided rivalry. And in the second half of the film, it's just my character just kicking him down a never-ending flight of stairs for like just the rest of the film. But no, Oswald's out there. He is gregarious. He's lived like 1,000 lives already, and he's always in the right place at the right time. I love Oswald, but I don't fully trust him.
So what resonated most with you personally in the script?
I liked how funny it was. Again, having worked with Aaron before, I know how he writes and how he thinks and how he directs. Like Aaron, Sebastian and Renata had to read the script twice, whereas I did like one pass. I was like, yeah, we're doing Kaufman, amazing. I'm in. I've got to learn to yodel, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And yeah, it just leapt off the page at me. And I also really wanted to work with Aaron again because I love him to bits. He's like one of my best mates now. And I also got to hang out in New York City.
The best city.
I love New York so much.
Yes, yes. You've been praised for your performance in the film, and it's certainly well deserved. What does that recognition mean to you, especially coming from the independent film world?
Everyone likes an accolade and a pat on the back and like an attaboy. Though the feedback that genuinely meant the most was when we had our New York screening and we had loads of members from the different disagreement community there. And then afterwards, everyone just came up and spoke to us and said how they feel seen, heard, and represented authentically in a film for the first time in their lives. And that's something that I take kind of very, very seriously. I don't want to do something that inadvertently becomes part of the problem. I want to be adding value and driving representation and conversations about representation forward. I'm acutely aware that not everyone's going to agree with everything I do say or every decision I make. But as long as we're talking about it openly, honestly, and respectfully, then I'm golden. But no, that night in New York, where guys like I think Sora came up and spoke to me. Austin, I love Austin. Austin's like he's like my spirit animal. He came up and he's like, oh my god, babe, I'm obsessed. That was amazing. And yeah, love him. So yeah, that's the feedback that meant the most to me. If the critics like it, like rock and roll, but it's the community I'm representing whose opinions I really take to heart and value.
And where do you think we are in media representation of people with disabilities and facial differences at this point?
I think we can be doing a lot better, but I certainly think we've moved forward. I think the days of sort of like shock docs and pity porn are slowly fading away. And I think I've always said we need less things like botched and more things like A Different Man. And I think those kind of TLC programs are rapidly becoming outdated and also getting like called out for what they are a lot more now. I think viewers and audiences are a lot more discerning, have a lot more taste now, and aren't as, I don't know, easily misled than they used to be. Though, as I say, we can still be doing a lot better. I think the James Bond franchise has had 3 like bad guys with scars and disfigurements in a row now, which for a series that's made vast strides in its portrayal and representation of women, why are we still doing this with disfigurement and disability? But the Bond thing with it moving to Amazon is probably going to change for the better in terms of representation. Whether it gets better or worse as a franchise remains to be seen. And yeah, and I also don't want to put like a blanket ban on like bad guys with disfigurements because I quite like the work, but I think we need like more well-rounded characters. Where are the good guys? Where are the heroes? Where are the love interests? Where's the guy who's in the bar with a visible difference just because he quite likes a pint, kind of now and again? It needs to become more incidental and more well thought through, in my opinion.
Exactly. I agree with you. It's just having people just with differences just playing everyday roles, not necessarily playing the villain.
I often say that my disability is the least interesting thing about me. Don't get me wrong, still bloody interesting, but in the scheme of totality that is kind of Adam Pearson, it's like way down on the interest totem pole.
I always say my difference is just a part of me. It's not all of me. And I think we need to get more and more people to understand that. I also think facial differences and disfigurement are not, to me, I don't think they're part of the bigger conversation yet. And I think there's more talk about disabilities, people in wheelchairs, et cetera, but not so much having facial differences and I think that we need to do more to get that to be a part of the bigger conversation.
I agree. I quite like to see it have its own kind of legislation and protection and be like its own kind of category rather than being just lumped in to disability and equality legislation like it currently is.
Exactly. So, as I mentioned earlier, yesterday it was announced that you'll be playing Joseph Merrick in the film adaptation of The Elephant Man. Really exciting. And how did you feel upon learning you'd be the first actor with a facial difference to portray Joseph Merrick on screen?
Oh, mate, it's so much pressure. So much pressure. What if I screw this up? Like, I'm gonna get torn apart in Empire and The New Yorker and online. Not that I go on X because it's a human garbage dump. But yeah, I just want to do it well. I just not only for like me as an actor, but for the community I represent, and also for Joseph. I wanna do him well. And if you're going to tell a story, tell it properly. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but pressure and heat makes diamonds. So let's have a go.
I love that. So you've been a vocal advocate for authentic casting. How does this role align with your advocacy efforts?
I think it sort of is another point proven, right? When people go, oh, well anyone can play anything. It's not acting then, is it? And I'm like, well, when Meryl Streep plays a woman of age in in a film, because she's a woman of age, is that not acting? And I think we need to separate character and characteristics more than we do in these conversations. I don't think people quite understand that yet. Not that they're willfully ignorant to it. It's just another conversation that has to happen. And I also think when you have these conversations, they need to be done with a clear head and a full heart, with a lot of love and kindness, because that's how you win hearts and minds. Anyone can stand on a soapbox, grab a megaphone, and shout people into oblivion. But I don't want to. I have no interest in changing what people think. I want to change how they think. That's how you make systemic change.
I like that. Change how people. What did you say? How people think.
Yeah, not what they
And
think.
that's how you
Change
make
how they
systemic
think.
what they think. Yeah, I really like that. I'm gonna remember that. So, how do you see your role in A Different Man and this role influencing future opportunities for actors with disabilities and facial differences?
I think me just being there and showing that it can be done. And again, it comes back to if you can't see it, you can't be it. So, I'm also now in my I'm 40 now, so I'm aware that I need to be throwing down ladders to help other people kind of get up here. Not too many because I still got to work. Just enough where I've done my job, but not too many where I lose opportunities. But no, I think the more kind of disabled voices we can have in this industry, be it on camera, off camera, the better it is for everyone.
What piece of advice would you give to young people with facial differences or disabilities who want to pursue careers in acting or media?
Go for it. Don't take no for an answer. Know what kind of actor you want to be. Watch films. Go to school and watch films. Go on Wikipedia, look up everything that got nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, and just tear through that list because it will just really increase your understanding of what good storytelling is, but also what it isn't, and it will help you synthesize what kind of films you do and don't like as well, and it will help you hone your style a lot more. Don't take no for an answer, and get in the room and make them want you. Plant your feet and show them what you've got, and make them want you.
Great advice. Did you deal early on with, maybe still, but did you deal with rejection and how did you address that if you did?
Rejection is just a part of the industry. I'm bat around 1 in 10 in terms of auditions and jobs. So for every yes, I've gotten 10 no's. It's not personal. Is there a little bit of nepotism in the industry? Absolutely. But nah, you learn to take it on the chin and deal with it. It's their loss.
And I think rejection makes us stronger somehow to even push further. So I think it's a normal part of the process for sure. So, with filming scheduled to begin in 2026, what are your hopes for the production and its reception?
I hope it does well. We're casting and crewing up at the moment, so we'll see what happens there. Excited for what names are going to come out of those conversations, and I just hope it increases the kind of visibility of disfigurement and real difference, and also moves the conversation in the industry even more further forward. And yeah, long may they live.
Exactly. So, Adam, I'm excited to share that you are receiving the Courage Award at the MyFace Gala on June 5th, which we are greatly honored, and in New York City. What does that mean to you to receive such an honor?
I take that really, really seriously. Anytime you get an award like this, it sort of it almost validates all sort of the hard work because things we like this people often see kind of the end result and the greatest hits, but what no one ever sees is sort of the hell people often have to walk through to get there. No one sees sort of like the bad times or the struggles, because no one puts that on the internet, because it's the internet, right? So to have that kind of validation and to be part of this amazing community is it's an honor and a joy, and I'm very excited to New York City. I'm going to eat so much pizza; it's going to be unreal.
I love pizza, so maybe we'll have to get a
What's your
slice
favorite?
together.
What's your favorite spot in New York?
I favorite spot. So I just moved uptown to the Upper East Side, and so I'm just discovering the places. I like thin crust pizza for sure. And I actually just went out last night to a place around the corner from me that just opened up. So they're from Brooklyn, and they just opened up on the Upper East Side. So it was good.
Nice. I like Ruby Roaster, Joe's on
Uh huh.
Thornton, and John's Oblique are my ones.
Both really good options. So yeah, we'll definitely maybe while you're here, we'll have to sneak in a slice of pizza somewhere. Yeah, I mean, if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, what message would you want to share?
I just tell myself that it's going to be okay, and that one day this shall pass, and yeah, things turn out all right. So I would also tell myself to be less of a dick. Kind of, maybe be a bit nicer to your mates, and you don't always have to be sort of like the edgy guy all the time. And I'd also tell myself who wins every single Super Bowl and bet on it every year.
And then who do you see when you look in the mirror today?
I see Adam Henry Pearson, actor, presenter, campaigner, and utter legend.
Um,
Best in the world.
I love that. So I just wanted to touch briefly on your advocacy efforts. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. So you talked about earlier about community. How important do you think it is to find a community of people who understand your journey?
I think it's crucial because they're already there, so a lot of the unpacking doesn't need doing. I think often when you have a visible difference or disagreement, people feel like you owe them an explanation. Kind of, you people feel entitled to know your deepest, darkest medical history. They're like, oh my god, what's wrong with your face? It's like, well, I'll tell you what's wrong with my face if you tell me what STIs you've had. That if you ask someone what STIs they've had, you'd be considered a ridiculous person. But when disfigurement is put on the table, all of a sudden those rules fly out the window. So you have that element of understanding already there, and it's safety as well. Like every now and then, you need someone to go, well, you're just gonna not have to think too much, right? You can just exist without all these sort of like externalities and just noise of life. And everyone needs sort of like that little break. I think having communities, be it disagreement, visual difference, or be it sort of like your D&D group or your board gaming group or the guys who just go to the pub with. I think having those little circles of people around you who understand you and who you also understand just gets you through life. It's what makes life work and allows people to function.
Yeah, I always say there's power in the shared story and knowing you're not alone. And I think when you can meet others who are on that same journey, it's really helpful and can help you, especially when you are a parent, let's say, of a young child who's just starting that journey and they can't even see into the future of what that who their child's going to become because they're so focused on the medical and the surgical and all those things and what's going to happen when they start school and are they going to be bullied or teased, and so to see that and to I think see people like you and me and so many others and Austin and so many others in the facial difference community, I think, gives parents a lot of hope and just the world to understand that we are capable of doing anything anybody else can.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah. So, Adam, I think that's a wrap. So, unless you have anything else you want to share with us.
I'm all good. I'm all good. Might have some more announcements coming shortly, so keep an eye on the old internet. But yeah, I will see you all in New York City
Yes,
on the 5th.
yes. I hope people will come out for this. So, thank you so much, Adam, for taking the time to speak with us today. Your honesty, your humor, your passion are truly inspiring. And through your work as an actor, presenter, and advocate, you challenge narratives and push for a world that recognizes the value of authentic representation and inclusion. And through your telling stories, whether your own or through your roles, open doors for others in the facial difference community, in the disability community, and helps reshape how society sees disability and visible difference. And so I am incredibly grateful for the impact you're making and for sharing your journey with our listeners today. So it's been an absolute
Thank
honor
you.
to have you on the podcast. So thank you.
The pleasure was all mine.
Okay. And I will see you in a couple weeks, or about
Yeah,
4
you
weeks.
will.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Adam. Adam is an inspiration to me and everyone he meets. Everyone has a story, and I'm hopeful that by sharing stories like these, we can create a kinder world. For more than 70 years, myFace has been dedicated to changing the faces and transforming the lives of children and adults with facial differences by providing access to holistic, comprehensive care, education, resources, and support that pave the way for better outcomes. To learn more, please visit myface.org. If you would like to learn more about the myFace support groups so that you can connect with others in the craniofacial community, please visit myface.org/online-groups. Be sure to subscribe to myFace myStory on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube to get notified of our next episode. If you'd like to receive email reminders of new episodes, sign up at myface.org/mystory. That's myface.org/mystory. Thank you for joining us for this episode of myFace myStory. Remember, it takes courage to share your story, so be brave and speak out.